congratulate the nominated Senator, Crystal Asige, for this piece of work. Senator Asige, I want to acknowledge her for her hard work. And I want to acknowledge her even more for her demonstration for the indomitable spirit of a human being. Madam Speaker, as a medical expert, I can confirmly say that disability is poorly documented in this country. It is grossly misunderstood and grossly underreported, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, quickly when you tell the politicians who then give an opportunity to people living with disability to come to these houses and our county assemblies, they just look at loss of limbs, loss of eyesight, loss of hearing, and probably stop there. But we have a greater population of people living with disabilities that are unable to come out and talk about. Let me give you an example. The issue of infertility in women. There are many women who have serious problem of infertility, and there is no greater infertility in a woman. I mean, there is no greater disability in a woman than infertility. Every woman would want to be called mama. So these women who do not have the physical opportunity to get a child are women living with disability. And so that women don't think that I misunderstand human beings. We also have men with azoospermia. They also can't get children. If we document these things carefully, we can easily get a beautiful young woman here who has no visible physical disability, but she's living with infertility, and she would deserve to be nominated. Mr. Speaker, before I go to the real challenge of this bill, let me speak to my own experience. We have to be very careful when we are growing up children, when we are fellowshipping with society, so that we look at legislation to support people living with a disability to mean giving them an opportunity, but not to mean you are profiling them as people who are lesser human than the others. Why do I say this, Mr. Speaker? Is because the man who taught me mathematics, Mr. David Mugaisi Asuzi, was living with disability. And he taught me mathematics, and I want to thank him. May his soul rest in eternal peace. He helped me to get distinction 1 in mathematics, and helped me in that exam, Mr. Speaker, to get 100% in mathematics alternative A. Mr. Speaker, in my office in Kakamega, I have employed Ignatius. Ignatius is a one-legged youth, but I have never seen a greater bullfighter than that boy. He can go into what we call in bullfighting, Mongara. Mongara is the equivalent in rugby, where you go in the most dangerous circle. Igna will go in and come out and go in, and no injury in bullfighting. And yet the guy has got one leg and is a great bullfighter. Mr. Speaker, because of the challenges of politics, I was attacked by goons in my home. And they went for my son and gouged out his eye when he was 5 years old. Mr. Speaker, today that boy We have grown him up so that he doesn't believe he's a lesser human being because he lost his one eye. But we told him that you can be what all other youths can be. And today, Mr. Speaker, the guy is a high-profile auditor employed by the national government of Kenya, in charge of one of the counties here in Kenya, and he even holds a master's in that profession. Mr. Speaker, now I want to plead with Senator Asige. Senator Asige, listen to your bill. You are saying you seek to amend Section 177C of the Constitution of Kenya, right? Yes, that is now where I'm going, and I want us to work together.
Senator Boni Khalwale.
Yes, I speak to
Should I remind you? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I'm inviting the senator to move with me that you want to amend Article 177 of the Constitution. It means you want to amend the Constitution of Kenya. The Constitution of Kenya, the process of amendment of the Constitution of Kenya is provided for in 255. It doesn't say you can amend the Constitution through amending an act of parliament. So why I'm bringing you to this is that in 255, sabbatical 2, they show you the areas which you can only amend through a referendum. And one of those areas, 255(2)(I), is the objects, principles, and structure of the devolved government. The devolved government is the county assembly and the executive. Those are the structure of the devolved government. So if you attempt to amend anything about the county assembly the way you are doing, you are amending the structure of the county assembly and therefore the county government. And this constitution in 255 says not the Senate, not the National Assembly, not Khalwale, not Asige can amend. To do that, you have to go back to Kenyans so that they say so through a referendum. What am I saying? I am saying that in the spirit of your amendment, you are more than 100% right, Senator. You want to give equal opportunity to all Kenyans, including those living with disabilities. You are right. But in the letter where you are attempting to amend the Constitution through an act of parliament, you cannot do it. We must do what you are doing, but take this proposal to Kenyans to vote and decide that they want to change 177 to now invite the amendment.
Senator Boni Khalwale.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Boni Khalwale.
I'm back to you.
There is a point of order from Senator Moses Kajwang. What's your point of order?
Point of order.
Mr. Speaker, ideally it ought to have been a point of information, but still,
no, inform
I want to inform Senator Boni Khalwale that Article 177(1)(c) envisages that there shall be an act of parliament that will define the number of members of marginalized groups, including persons with disabilities and the youth. And therefore, the intention of this amendment is to amend the Act of Parliament referred to under Article 177(1)(c), rather than amending Article 177(1)(c) itself. I thought that needed to be made clear because even I was also a bit confused because that proposal, that Article 177(1)(c) of the Constitution shall include, and then there's sub 1, 2, 3, ideally that should be sitting in the Act of Parliament. So it's an amendment to an Act of Parliament that is required under Article 177(1)(c). Initially, Mr. Speaker, I was convinced that this is an impossible amendment, but having read this, I think that Senator Asige just needs to clean up that amendment so that it does not look like we are amending the Constitution.
With when I see and listen to this level of debate, seeing the contribution by Senator Sige and hearing the point of information from Senator Kajwang, is when I wish members of this Senate and the National Assembly would know that participating in parliamentary business does not end with questions, does not end with statements. Real business is what we are doing now. It is this kind of debate that makes you a legislator. And Senator Kajwang, that is why what I'm doing, I'm attempting to interpret the Constitution. And what you have done by informing me, you are interpreting the Constitution. Interpretation of the Constitution is so difficult that even two lawyers don't always agree. So what did the framers of the Constitution do? Because they knew the difficulty of interpretation of the Constitution, they said, yes, you can hold whatever opinion, but the final person to say you are right in your interpretation or you are wrong is only the High Court. So what I am saying is that Kajwang is just a matter of time. I was sounding to caution. You will find that we can allow such a good work by Senator Sige that will help my son and my other friends and their children and everybody. We can help her to kill it without sounding out what I am seeing. So let's see when we go to the Committee of the Whole, Sige, and you'll not die from it. Consult experts, and I think I can fairly say that I'm an expert in legislation. I've been around for 20 years. So, Mr. Speaker, we want to give life to this. We want to do more. We want to remove the fate of people living with disability from the hands of political leaders. They get an opportunity because political leaders of political parties then give them some form of support. We should tweak the law so that the people living with disability can, for example, elect themselves. Yes, Asige. You can still win an election. You don't have to rely on the national party leader of the Orange Democratic Movement for you to come here. We can say that at this election, people living with disability will vote for themselves. So that the people living with disability who find their way in this house of privilege, the Senate is a house of high privilege. The National Assembly, the county assemblies are positions of high privilege. We cannot leave that in the hands of leaders of political parties. The people living with disability have the capacity to agree amongst themselves on a model of election, or we legislate a model of election that will be used with people living with disability. One of the reasons why I don't like the way we identify affirmative action women who come to the two houses is because of this same problem. Number two, the reason why I don't recognize the affirmative nature of the 47 county women in the National Assembly, it is because the wrong people vote for them. If we wanted women to elect a county MP to represent them, what business do men have in voting in that election? We should have, under this constitution, now that we have got benefit of hindsight, grafted the election laws so that on voting day, we men do not participate in electing the county MP. It be done by women. It is this thing that I want us to push through this so that we don't rush it. Senator Sige, don't forget you are my brother's daughter and I cannot harm your industry. That I want you to achieve more. Not so much because it is good, but also because you have proven that those of us who have been here for 20 years, we have been sleeping on the job. Why didn't we think innovatively the way you have done? With those many remarks, I support.
Senator Kajwang Moses.
Madams, Mr. Speaker, sir, I quickly corrected myself. Mr. Speaker, sir, and my Speaker of choice, I rise to support the County Government's Election Laws Amendment Bill of 2024 that has been sponsored by Senator Crystal Asige. And Mr. Speaker, this is a very, very important amendment, and I hope that this House and the other House will see it fit to pass this because it seeks to clear some inconsistencies in law that have caused problems in the past. Mr. Speaker, Senator Asige has demonstrated exemplary industry, knowledge of legislative affairs, rare intellect, and Mr. Speaker, she has become an